CDC, the centers, plural, there's multiple centers, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. They threw that in there. Really, it should be the CDC app, the CD cap, cap. Anyway, they didn't fit that in. Anyway, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky announced a shakeup of the organization, citing COVID mistakes. So I want to read this because, in my opinion, the CDC and the White House and the U.S. government and the American people as a whole have acted together in unison as a bunch of genocidal freaks. They don't care about disabled people. They don't care about creating more disabled people, right? Have you, I'm just out of curiosity, do you know anyone that's immunocompromised? Do you know anyone that has any sort of disability that has really suffered in this pandemic? Because I do. I know a lot of people that are immunocompromised. I know a lot of people that are disabled in other ways. And basically, their lives are in ruins. They're just destroyed, right? Like, they can't really work as much as they could, right? I know people that have been immunocompromised and have gotten COVID and have nearly died. I know people that are the same category that have died, right? And so, really, the CDC is ultimately responsible for this. There are a bunch of genocidal freaks, right? Joe Biden is a genocidal freak. Kamala Harris is a genocidal freak, etc. So is Donald Trump, of course, right? And so, not a good look to be pro-genocide and, the extinction and extermination of disabled people. That's not a good look. So let's see what the director of the CDC has to say about this really bad look. The head of the nation's top public health agency on Wednesday announced a shakeup of the organization, saying it fell short responding to COVID-19 and needs to become more nimble. The planned changes at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC leaders call it a reset, comes amid criticism of the agency's response to COVID, monkeypox, and other public health threats. The changes include internal staffing moves and steps to speed up data releases. So they're going to change a couple of the staff, fire a couple people as examples, and speed up data release? What does that mean, speed up data release? As we know, the CDC, basically, with their guideline issuance in April, stopped collecting massive amounts of data for COVID-19, right? Positive tests being tracked, that doesn't really happen anymore. We don't really know how many cases are going on. A lot of people do at-home tests now, and they don't report their cases, right? Really, the CDC changed their, numbers to mean, if you're in the hospital, then you have COVID. If you're not in the hospital, then you don't have COVID, according to the CDC, right? So, okay, we're going to speed up the data releases, but what about reverting the data back to what it was originally? If you test positive, mandatory reporting to the government so we know who the fuck has COVID. And yeah, the language of fell short, right? They fell short. Whoops. Million dead motherfuckers. Simple mistake. Honest mistake. Didn't mean it. Million dead motherfuckers. We fell a little bit short. The CDC's director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, told the agency's staff about the changes on Wednesday. It is a CDC initiative and was not directed by the White House or other administration officials. The White House is a very firmly pro-genocide stance on this one. So, the CDC probably wants to recover their image a little bit because, hey, we've been kind of doing the pro-genocide thing for 3 years. Maybe we'll back off a little bit. Quote, I feel like it's my. I don't know if that's the person writing the article or her. She has a stutter. I'm not sure. I feel like it's my responsibility to lead this agency to a better place after a really challenging 3 years, Walensky told the Associated Press. Great. The Atlanta-based agency, with a $12 billion budget and more than 11,000 employees, is charged with protecting Americans from disease outbreaks and other public health threats. It's customary for each CDC director to do some reorganizing, but Walensky's action comes amid a wider demand for change. Quote, I think our public health infrastructure in this country was not up to the task of handling this pandemic. Oh, you don't say. Oh, you don't say. Walensky told CBS News chief medical correspondent Dr. John LaPook, We learned some hard lessons over the last 3 years, and as part of that, it's my responsibility. It's with an extra apostrophe after the S because whoever wrote this article has Parkinson. I'm sorry. The agency's responsibility to learn from those lessons and do better. The agency has long been criticized as too ponderous, focus on collection and analysis of data, but not acting quickly against new health threats. Public unhappiness with the agency grew dramatically during the COVID-19 pandemic. Experts said the CDC was slow to recognize how much the virus was entering the U.S. from Europe, to recommend people wear masks, to say the virus can spread through the air, and to ramp up systemic testing for new variants. The CDC has failed at every single possible, any moment where the CDC could possibly do something good, they have failed. They have failed. Right? We can whine, Trump. Wah, Trump is a bad guy. Wah. Yeah, Trump is garbage. But Joe Biden assumed office on January 20th, 2021. That was almost, we are closer to 2 years ago than 1 year ago. That was almost 2 fucking years ago. So I'm sick and tired of these people going, Trump's the bad job. It's all Trump's fault. CDC ain't done nothing wrong. Yeah, that's right. I'm looking at you in the chat. CDC ain't done nothing wrong. It's all Trump's fault. Trump said something, and then for 3 years, we got to follow his rule, because why not? Right? Again, this fucking shit is Looney Tunes. Joe Biden ran on solving the COVID crisis and has done exactly the opposite. He made it much worse. Right, he did the Trump strategy for the Delta variant, didn't work, declared victory anyway. He did the Trump strategy for the Omicron variant, didn't work, declared victory anyway. He did the Trump strategy for the recent surges in BA4 and BA5, then he declared victory a couple days ago, didn't work, right? So, I don't know. Maybe, just maybe, the CDC is a corrupt institution. Maybe, just maybe, Joe Biden is a garbage president who doesn't actually fucking give a shit. Maybe, and also really think about this, the American public are a bunch of stupid motherfuckers, not just Trump supporters. I know a lot of liberals that go like, oh, finally, I took my mask off and it's so much better. We're back to normal. And then they end up in the hospital fucking 3 weeks later, right? So maybe, just maybe, we as a society are not cut out for solving a pandemic. The CDC failed. That's their job, and they failed, and yet they're still employed. I have a question. If I were a fry cook at Bojangles, right, and I fucked up every single time I was trying to cook whatever they're cooking, I don't know, Bojangles is chicken or some shit. I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat that shit. But anyway, let's say I'm trying to fry up the chicken, and I accidentally pour, nail polish remover in the oil, and then it blows up. Would I get fired? Oh, sorry, I failed at my job. Can I try again? Okay. And then I do the same thing again the next day. Oh, sorry, I failed, but I'll try again. Would I keep my job? If I was working at, a grocery store and I'm trying to bag groceries, right? I have glass bottles, glass jars, and slip, drop them on the floor. I kept dropping them on the floor. I couldn't hit them, put them in the bag. I just kept dropping them. They kept breaking all over the floor. Customers are complaining. Would I get fired? Or would I just keep my job? Because why not? It's already my job. I've already been hired, right? Why find anyone better? You know what I mean? But when you're in the government and your job is to stop and control a pandemic, you can just fuck up over and over and over again, 365 days a year for 3 years straight, and you get promoted. And you get articles written about you about how great of a job you're doing. Isn't that great? Anyway, so we'll see how this restructuring goes. But once again, I maintain the position that the CDC is a genocidal organization run by eugenicists. And if that triggers you, then I'm sorry, but you need a fucking wake-up call. Because I'm sick and tired of seeing people that I know die when they don't have to. I'm sick and tired of seeing people that I know get sick when they don't have to. Millions and millions and millions of people getting long-term illness with long COVID. And you know what? We got to blame somebody. I blame the CDC, the White House, right? I don't care which administration it is at this point. The White House and the American people. Every time you see one of these fucking stupid motherfuckers at the grocery store without a mask on, honestly, really, it infuriates me to no end. We live in the stupidest fucking country on planet Earth. Again, the delta between available knowledge and what the average person acts upon is so large right now. It's the largest it's ever been in human history. Can you really blame people for not washing their hands 600 years ago? They didn't know what the fuck that was. They didn't know about soap. They didn't know about the germ theory of disease, you know? But now we do. And yet so many millions of people are anti-science. Liberals, Democrats, Joe Biden is a science denier at this point. Wear a mask and it stops the airborne transmission of a deadly virus. It's not that fucking hard. It's not that fucking hard. The rules haven't changed for the last, really since the summer, maybe the fall of 2020. The rules haven't changed at all in any way. And yet, for whatever reason, people think, oh, I can go outside without my mask on. Then they get COVID and die, or then they get COVID and take up a hospital bed, and then someone that gets hit by a car, breaks their leg, and they have to wait in the emergency room and they bleed out because there's not enough staff. Again, this country is falling the fuck apart. And you know what? There's 3 things that I blame: the CDC, the White House, and the American people. Because all 3 of these fucking groups of people are so fucking stupid and so fucking corrupt that the world would be better off without them. So anyway, I hate America and I hate Americans. The CDC is a genocidal organization. There you go. Yeah, Saul used